Have you ever watched a cat chasing its own tail? Round and round it goes and faster, convinced that if it just moves a little quicker, if it just tries a little harder, it'll finally catch what it's after. But the harder it tries, the more the tail escapes, and then something changes. The cat stops. It sits down, yawns, begins to clean its paw, and there, resting right beside it, is the tail it was chasing all along. That moment, that simple picture, is a perfect reflection of the human condition. We spend our lives doing the same thing, chasing happiness, chasing peace, chasing love, chasing success, spinning ourselves in circles, convinced that fulfillment lies just one more effort away. We push, we plan, we strain against the natural flow of life, believing that existence is a puzzle to be solved, not an experience to be lived. But what if that's exactly why we suffer? What if the harder we chase, the further we move from what we seek? What if the secret to having everything is to stop wanting so much? You see, from childhood, we're taught that life is a competition, that the world is a battlefield and we must fight to survive. We're told to struggle, to overcome, to win at any cost, as if living were a war and peace was the prize. But real life doesn't work that way. Life is not a machine you control. It's not a mountain you conquer. Life is like water, soft, yielding yet more powerful than stone. It's like music and something to be played, not forced. Think about breathing for a moment. Right now, you're doing it effortlessly. Air flows in, air flows out. You're not controlling it, not managing it, not forcing it. It just happens, and naturally, gracefully. Now imagine if you tried to control it completely, counting each inhale, timing each exhale, trying to make every breath perfect. What would happen? Very quickly, your body would tighten. You'd grow anxious. You'd fall out of rhythm with yourself. The very act of forcing what was already working would break it. That's exactly what we do with life. We take something that should flow naturally, our relationships, our work, our happiness, and we turn it into a struggle. We force people to love us the way we expect. We force our careers, pushing and grinding until we forget why we began. We force our joy, chasing it through distractions and pleasures until we're exhausted. But there's another way, a quieter, older wisdom that whispers through time. In Taoist philosophy, it's called Wu Wei, the art of effortless action. It means moving without forcing, acting without struggle, flowing like water, which never fights the rocks, yet always finds its way around them. Water doesn't resist the landscape, it accepts it. And with patience, persistence, and gentleness, it shapes even the hardest stone. I once knew a man who spent his entire life chasing happiness. He worked 16-hour days, driven by the belief that success would finally bring him peace. He made plans, set goals, tried to control every detail, but the more he pushed, the emptier he became. One day, completely exhausted, he sat down by a river. He had no energy left to plan, no motivation to fight. He simply sat, watching the water flow past. And in that stillness, something happened. A peace he had never known began to fill him. Quiet, effortless, complete. The happiness he'd been chasing for years had been there all along. It was simply buried beneath his struggle to find it. This is the great paradox of life. The moment you stop forcing, what you seek begins to appear, not because you earned it, but because it was never gone. It was only hidden behind the noise of your effort. Now, to be clear, not forcing doesn't mean doing nothing. It doesn't mean giving up or becoming lazy. It means acting with awareness instead of anxiety. It means responding to life, not wrestling with it. Think of a master archer. When the archer draws the bow, there is strength, but no strain. Focus, but no desperation. When the arrow is released, it flies naturally at exactly the right moment. No forcing, no struggle, just flow. That's the art of living. You can still act, still create, still dream, but with a light touch. You plant seeds, you water them, and then you trust the soil to do the rest. Because life grows best when you stop pulling at the roots. Most of us have been forcing for so long, we don't even realize we're doing it anymore. It's like we've forgotten what natural action feels like. We've confused tension for effort, control for strength, and exhaustion for success. But there's a simple way to tell the difference. When you're forcing, you can feel it, a tightness in your chest, a pressure behind your thoughts. Your actions carry a silent desperation. This must work. This has to happen. I can't fail. That's the voice of fear disguised as determination. When you're flowing, the energy feels different. There's focus, yes, but there's also ease. You're not fighting the current, you're moving with it. There's a quiet joy even when things are hard. You feel alive, not drained. Forcing feels like pushing a heavy rock uphill. Flowing feels like sailing with a gentle wind. Both require attention, but one leaves you weary and in the other, free. Let me tell you a story. There was once a painter named Sierra. She was talented, gifted even, but for years, she struggled to create the masterpiece she believed would define her life. Every day she sat before the canvas, forcing inspiration, demanding beauty, chasing perfection. The result, paintings that were technically perfect, but lifeless. Every brushstroke carried strain instead of soul. One day, after weeks of frustration, she snapped. She threw down her brushes and walked away. For a while, she stopped painting completely, but slowly, something began to change without even noticing. She found herself sketching again, a sleeping cat, sunlight on the floor, her own hand holding a cup of tea. No pressure, no goals, just small, simple moments that caught her eye, and for the first time in years, she felt joy. Her sketches became loose, alive, spontaneous. When she finally returned to painting, she didn't try to create a masterpiece. She just let her hand move as it wanted to. And paradoxically, that's when her art became great. What she had been chasing through force emerged effortlessly when she stopped chasing it. That's the mystery of not forcing. When you stop trying so hard to be someone, you become yourself. When you stop grasping for happiness, you discover it was already there. When you stop trying to make life perfect, it becomes beautiful in its imperfection. Now, let's be practical. How do we live this way in a world that constantly rewards forcing, where the loudest voices tell us to hustle harder, work longer, do more? It begins with awareness. Start by noticing where you're forcing in your life. Where are you pushing against the current instead of flowing with it? Maybe it's your career, trying to control every outcome, every detail, afraid that one mistake will ruin everything. Maybe it's your relationships, forcing people to behave the way you wish they would, instead of seeing them as they are. Maybe it's within yourself, forcing happiness, forcing productivity, forcing confidence. Whenever you feel that strain, that tension, pause, take a breath, ask yourself quietly, what would this look like if I weren't forcing it? Sometimes that question alone is enough to shift everything, because here's the truth. Forcing rarely creates what we want. Even when it does, it doesn't feel right. Success that's wrestled into existence often feels hollow when you finally touch it. Relationships that are held together by control eventually fall apart under the weight of expectation. Once knew a father who was deeply worried about his teenage son. The boy was struggling, failing in school, distant, rebellious. The father tried everything, strict rules, tutors, punishments, lectures, but the more he forced, the more his son pulled away. One day, exhausted, he decided to stop. He didn't give up on his son, he just stopped trying to control him. He stopped lecturing and started listening, stopped commanding and started being present. What happened next surprised him. Without the pressure of control, his son began to open up. The rebellion faded not because it was punished, but because it was understood. The relationship began to heal in the quiet space that forcing had never allowed. When we stop forcing, we create space for connection with others and with life itself. The world becomes less of a battle and more of a conversation. And the beautiful thing is, life responds to that space. When you stop pushing, it starts to move toward you. When you stop grasping, what you were chasing starts to unfold naturally because it was never lost. It was just waiting for you to slow down enough to notice it. So pause. Breathe. Let go. Just a little. You don't need to make life happen. You just need to stop standing in its way. There's a misunderstanding. that often creeps in when people hear the idea of not forcing. They think it means doing nothing, sitting back and letting life decide everything for you, but that's not what it means at all. Letting go isn't the same as giving up. Giving up comes from despair. Letting go comes from wisdom. When you give up, it's because you've stopped believing. When you let go, it's because you've started trusting. Trusting that not every battle needs to be fought. Trusting that timing matters. That sometimes the seed needs time underground before it ever reaches the sun. Trusting that the universe has a rhythm, and your life is part of that rhythm, even when you can't hear the music yet. We are taught to believe that control equals power, that if we just plan enough, work hard enough, push long enough, everything will fall into place. But life doesn't bend to willpower. It responds to alignment. There's a quiet strength in surrender. It's not weakness. It's clarity. It's the moment you stop trying to make the river flow faster and instead, you learn how to swim with it. Think of the greatest moments in your life, the real turning points. How many of them happened exactly the way you planned? Probably none. Maybe you met someone by accident who changed your direction completely. Maybe a door closed that forced you to discover another path, one you never would have seen otherwise. Maybe you lost something that in time made space for something far greater to arrive. That's not chaos. That's intelligence, the quiet intelligence of life itself, moving you where you're meant to go. When you stop forcing, you begin to notice that life is not random. It's responsive. It's like a dance, one where you're both the dancer and the music, but you only realize it once you stop trying to lead every step. Here's a simple example. Imagine two archers. One is tense, overthinking every move, desperate to hit the bullseye. The other breathes, relaxes, trusts the motion he's practiced 1,000 times. They both release the arrow, but only one lets it fly. Force can aim, but trust allows accuracy. Life works the same way. When you're filled with doubt and strain, your actions become rigid. You miss opportunities because your vision narrows to what you're trying to control. But when you act from trust, your mind opens. You start to see patterns, possibilities, synchronicities. You begin to feel your way instead of just thinking your way. And that's when life becomes something extraordinary. When it starts to feel like it's moving with you, not against you. Letting go is not laziness, it's precision. It's choosing what truly matters and releasing what doesn't. You don't stop working hard, you stop working against yourself. You don't stop caring, you stop clinging. You don't stop acting and you stop reacting. That's the essence of wu-wei and effortless action. The ancient Taoists understood this long before modern psychology caught up. They taught that the wise person doesn't resist life. They cooperate with it. They act when it's time to act, and rest when it's time to rest. They don't chase outcomes. They align with the flow of things as they are. It's not passive. It's alive, responsive, intelligent. In that stillness, something remarkable happens. You stop feeling like the world is happening to you, and you start realizing it's happening through you. Your choices, your intuition, your timing, all of it begins to synchronize with something much larger than your own mind. And then you see, you never had to control everything. You just had to stop resisting what already wanted to happen. Sometimes, life's gifts arrive disguised as loss. Sometimes, a delay is not punishment, it's preparation. Sometimes, silence is not absence. It's space being made for what's coming next. When you act from that place of trust, every moment, even the uncertain ones, begins to feel sacred. You realize that the point of life isn't to have power over it. It's to live in harmony with it. Because when you finally stop forcing, you don't fall into chaos, you fall into rhythm, you fall into peace, and in that peace, you discover a strength so effortless, so complete, that it doesn't need to prove itself. By now you might be wondering, how do we actually live this way? How do we practice not forcing in a world that keeps demanding more, faster, louder? The answer isn't found in a single act, it's found in small, quiet moments. The spaces between everything else. When you wake up and choose to pause before reaching for your phone. When you notice the tension in your shoulders and let it go. When you stop judging yourself for not being where you think you should. Be these small moments of awareness are where the practice begins, because awareness is the doorway to peace. You can't let go of something you don't notice you're holding. You can't stop forcing if you don't realize you're doing it. So the first step is simple. Watch yourself. Watch when you push too hard. Watch when you try to control what doesn't need controlling. Watch when you fight against reality, wishing it were something else. Don't judge it. Just see it. That's how stillness begins, not by fighting your mind, but by seeing it clearly. Once you start observing, something subtle begins to shift. You'll find yourself acting more naturally, responding instead of reacting. You'll begin to sense when to move forward and when to wait. You'll stop chasing life and start dancing with it, and you'll realize you were never separate from the flow. You were always part of it. You just couldn't feel it while you were trying to control it. It's like standing in a river, fighting the current, believing the flow is against you until you let go, and suddenly you're being carried gently downstream. The water hasn't changed, you have. To live without forcing is not to stop caring about life. It's to care so deeply that you stop damaging it with resistance. It's to act with love, not with fear. To trust that what's meant for you will always recognize you, even if it takes time to arrive. There's a quiet kind of confidence that comes with this way of being. Not arrogance, not passivity, but calm assurance. A trust in your own timing, your own intuition, your own unfolding. Because when you stop forcing, you begin to listen, and in that listening, you start to hear what life has been trying to tell you all along. Sometimes it whispers through stillness, sometimes it speaks through failure. Sometimes it shouts through the doors that refuse to open. But if you're quiet enough, you'll start to recognize that all of it, every detour, every silence, every storm, was guiding you toward exactly who you were meant to become. Letting go doesn't mean drifting aimlessly. It means steering gently while trusting the tide. It means doing what you can, where you are with full attention, and allowing what's beyond your reach to unfold in its own time. You still dream. You still act. You still create. But your actions come from a place of peace, not pressure. From alignment, not anxiety. From love, not lack. And slowly, life begins to mirror that peace back to you. Opportunities appear when you stop chasing them. People arrive when you stop searching desperately. Answers unfold when you stop demanding them. Because when you align with life's rhythm, life starts aligning with you. That's the beauty of not forcing. It's not about doing less. It's about being more present, more open, more alive. And when you live this way, even ordinary moments begin to feel sacred. Cup of coffee in the morning, the sound of rain against the window. A laugh shared with someone you love. You start to see that peace isn't something to find, it's something that's revealed, and once you stop fighting for it. So, the next time you feel yourself forcing, pause. Take a breath. Remember, you are not here to control the river. You are here to learn how to float. And the miracle is, the moment you stop struggling, you'll realize the river has always been carrying you home. It just is.